Formula One was relieved to see Romain Grosjean escape his horrifying crash in Bahrain. As ever in such incidents, questions arise about how and why the situation came to be, but these can lead to further improvements in the safety structures that saved him. Today, we will take a look at what needs to be done to avoid another incident like this. Let's get started. The images of Romain Grosjean leaping from his burning VF20 shocked Formula One and the watching world. The pictures, which show the devastation of the incident, made the front pages of national newspapers in the UK. The overwhelming feeling following such an incident is a relief, but at the same time, the championship and the FIA as its regulator now need to answer any questions about how it occurred. It's of course slightly inappropriate to reference it to movies because that's what happened last weekend. The advancement in motorsport safety allowed a driver to escape an incident that they may not have done previously and that should be rightly applauded. Yet at the same time, all things can be improved and progress made. So here are some key questions that the FIA and F1 will be considering when it comes to learning the lessons of Grosjean's escape. Over the years, the FIA has developed its analysis and reporting procedures on major accidents across motorsport to understand precisely what happened on each occasion and register the vital lessons from each. It formed the FIA Institute for Motorsport Safety in 2004, which was later replaced by the Global Institute for Motorsport Safety. Since the end of 2018, all safety research projects are completed by the FIA's Safety Department. This group will lead the investigation into Grosjean's crash, working with Haas, the track, and the FIA's Circuit Commission. F1 race director Michael Massey said, quote, "All of the various parts of the FIA group as a whole, all the respective subject matter experts, will review their particular area and see what can be learned. They will ask what can be improved, be it small, large, or in between." The plan for this weekend's Sakir Grand Prix at the same venue is to leave the concrete blocks that were installed to allow the rest of the Bahrain Grand Prix to run in place at the incident scene. Arguably the most shocking aspect of Grosjean's shunt, once he had escaped the flames, was what happened to his car as it stuck the barrier to the inside of the Bahrain track's Turn 3 kink. The barrier was pierced in the incident that occurred at 137 miles an hour, with Grosjean's cockpit going through the metal, while the halo structure undoubtedly protected him from a serious and potentially fatal impact. But the front of the chassis became tangled in the barrier and instantly went up in flames. It's awful to consider what might have happened had Grosjean become trapped. Thankfully he wasn't, but there is a question about how the barrier performed in the incident. Sebastian Vettel, Grosjean's fellow director at the Grand Prix Drivers Association, said, quote, "The guardrail shouldn't fail and the car shouldn't catch fire in that fashion. There are other alternatives to exposed guardrails, such as tire barriers and Tech Pro walls. But such devices can be expensive to install, and in any case, they themselves are not 100% protective. There is also the angle of the barrier to consider. It was not quite parallel to allow for an access point opening, and at the same time, we must understand the serious potential harm that can occur if a barrier does not allow for the tremendous energy loads to be safely dissipated." Another alarming element of the incident was how the car broke apart, effectively severed in two pieces in the impact. We know that in perverse way, the more parts breaking away in an incident will help our driver, as this is energy being lost relatively safely, so long as the pieces don't cause further harm when they land, alongside the survival cell remaining as tough and protective as possible. But it appears as if the powertrain parts of Grosjean's car became detached from their mountings in the crash, and the investigators will want to understand what role this played in the incident and its outcome. Considering the speeds and technology F1 cars reach and deploy, fire is a constant risk. Thankfully, the development in fuel cell technology is such that major fires are relatively rare in the modern championship. The sudden inferno around Grosjean's car was immediately alarming, and while there have been various theories put out about why this may have happened, it's vital that the correct cause is identified and explained. The halo undoubtedly did an outstanding job last Sunday, protecting Grosjean's head in the impact and keeping him conscious throughout, which allowed him to climb out of the fire and into the waiting, heroic arms of Dr. Ian Roberts and Alan van der Merwe. But assessing precisely how it performed in the incident and how it reacted to striking the barrier will surely lead to a further understanding, that may well benefit future engineering designs and safety standards. The halo is the headline, but the other safety structures played their part too. The hands device, the crash structures and panels built around the survival cell, and the fireproof clothing Grosjean was wearing were all vital elements of the protection that surrounded him. If nothing else, understanding how each element reacted in the incident will reinforce why they are necessary, and if any improvements can be detected, all the better. Again, this isn't about blaming or repercussions, but there were at least 2 incidents of marshals crossing the track last Sunday. In the Grosjean incident, one official arrives next to the fire and appears to be helped by Roberts to get an extinguisher going, while another douses the flames from the infield side of the fence. Roberts credits this intervention with reducing the flames enough for Grosjean to climb out, and there is no doubting the commitment and bravery of the individuals involved. But as Massey explained afterwards, particularly in relation to the marshal running out in front of Lando Norris's car to help put out the fire on Sergio Perez's retired car, instinctive reactions shouldn't be unduly punished. It's just worth reinforcing how everyone can stay safe in future events, which the FIA did after the race on Sunday and will do so again ahead of the next race this weekend. A minor point in the grand scheme of things last Sunday, but a worthy one nevertheless, with Daniel Ricciardo expressing his disgust at the way the incident of Grosjean was broadcast over and over, the replays over and over. Perhaps the best consideration for this question is that there are at least 2 ways at looking at it. After the dread of a lack of images confirming Grosjean had escaped the crash had passed, and when it was confirmed he was in the medical car, the full scale of the incident was revealed in a series of replays broadcast on F1's World Feed. This included playing it to the watching team personnel gathered by the cars in the pit lane during the near 90-minute red flag period. Perhaps once it was clear he was okay, the successive replays didn't need to be broadcast to the F1 personnel working on site, but at the same time, many watching viewers would have wanted to understand what had gone wrong. It must be stressed that F1's TV producers operated correctly in not showing the crash again until it was clear he had escaped. Surely the trivial side of the debate about the halo's place in single-seaters has been ended by this incident, although it's still worth acknowledging that questioning anything on reasonable grounds should be allowed, but it demonstrates again just how far F1 has come on safety. So what's next? This is a vital prospect in the never-ceasing project to make motorsport safer, even if risk can never be entirely removed. Only this season, the FIA has mandated the use of new fireproof suits built to a new safety standard that must resist a direct flame for a minimum of 12 seconds. Because this is the best thing to consider about the horrifying crash last Sunday apart from knowing Grosjean is alive, that the quest for improving safety in motorsport isn't stopping, and that such valuable work will filter down and further enhance the championships that entertain us. Anyways, now it's time for meme of the day, and here it is. And that's been it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. Apart from that, I hope you have a nice day, and bye bye.